Tonight, I want to tell you the story of Ebb Cade. He was in good health. A 55-year-old African-American man who worked as a cement mixer on his way to work one day in Tennessee when a car crash in March of 1945 altered the course of his life forever. He suffered some broken bones, but instead of treatment, he became a test subject while in the care of Oak Ridge Army Hospital, the first of at least 18 American test subjects injected with plutonium given to him without his knowledge or consent. The injection given to Cade is detailed in this formerly classified document called Experiment 1 on P49, which journalist Eileen Wellsome says is code for radioactive plutonium. She says the purpose was to monitor how a human subject reacted to the radioactive solution, tracking it in the blood, urine, stool, even the bones. You see, Cade's broken bones weren't even set until nearly 3 weeks after the car accident. The delay to allow samples of his bone to be taken once the plutonium was circulating in his body. Also a part of the tests, 15 of his teeth pulled after injection. Wellsome reports the 4.7 micrograms of plutonium given to Cade in his left arm, nearly 5 times the amount scientists even at that time felt could be retained without harm in the human body, came from Los Alamos, the central laboratory for the Manhattan Project, where top scientists under J. Robert Oppenheimer designed and built the world's first atomic bombs. Also a part of the project, a classified construction site in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the plant that Eb Cade was reporting to before he was hospitalized and was labeled Human Product 12, an experiment on the effects of a bomb-making substance he never agreed to be a part of. Now, journalist Eileen Wellsome says an enlisted man reached out and said he had been tasked with emptying Cade's bedpan months after he was brought to the hospital. And that man saying Cade appeared to be in great pain, saying, quote, he seemed in terrible shape. He looked to me like he was not going to make it for a few days. And eventually Eb Cade made his escape, slipping out of his room before he was discharged, abruptly moving states to North Carolina, where he died some 8 years later. His cause of death listed as heart failure, but today it's still not known if the plutonium injected into his veins played a part in his death. Journalist Wellsome notes his otherwise good health before this, and that Cade had siblings who lived to 100. And while Eb Cade was the first, he was not the last human test subject, just one of 18 people known to have been injected with plutonium. Wellsome, whose investigation into these secret tests on Americans earned her the Pulitzer Prize for national reporting, later authored The Plutonium Files, America's secret medical experiments in the Cold War. I spoke with her on a brand new episode of my podcast, The Truth of the Matter, just posted tonight. Here's part of that conversation. You interviewed several medical professionals and scientists in the course of your work. You say that one of them described how they chose people for these experiments. Do you remember what they said?
He said, basically, we chose the vulnerable, people that didn't know enough to ask questions. Do you mean you wouldn't have picked children, say, that were children of doctors? And he said, that's right. We wouldn't choose them. We chose vulnerable people, people that were trusting, that didn't know enough to ask questions. There was also an element of class, I thought, involved in this. So it was people who didn't have the education, who were blue-collar workers, that were selected.
Are you confident that government experiments on Americans without their knowledge or consent have ceased?
Oh,
or do
no.
you believe they continue?
I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist. But I think that, sure, things are going on without people's knowledge or consent. And I think that if it could happen to the individuals that you researched, that it could happen to any of us. And it's part of history now. And it's also, I mean, I imagine these kind of things are still going on. I don't want to be, extremely paranoid, but this took 50 years to reveal. And so I imagine You know, there are other things going on right now that we may not find out about for many decades.
Check out the Truth of the Matter podcast. You can find it on NewsNation's YouTube page right now, or scan the QR code on your screen with your phone and listen wherever you get your podcasts.